Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Patricia Kingston and I'm the Corporate Events Officer at Tourism NI, and I'm absolutely delighted to welcome you back for the first of our Lunch and Learn sessions for 2024. So first of all, wishing everybody a very happy new year. I think we're not quite too late to keep saying that, so I'll sneak that in there. Delighted today to be welcoming back our Social and Digital Marketing Manager, Paul Coleman, who spoke to us back in the autumn series about online sales channels and our partnership with TXGB. So during today's session, Paul's going to be sharing plans for the Tourism NI Spring Marketing Campaign, along with details for how you can get involved and maximise opportunities the campaign presents for your own business. Paul's kindly going to be staying on at the end to pick up any questions you might have. So you'll see a little chat box in your control panel there. Do feel free to pop any questions into there at any point during the session, and Paul and I will be picking up as many of those as possible at the end. Just a reminder that all the resources and recordings for today's session and any of our previous sessions can be found at tourismni.com/lunchlearn, and I'll be reminding you of where to find resources again later on. And yes, we'll pick that all up later when we're doing the questions. So now it's my absolute pleasure to hand you over to Paul Coleman to kick us off today. Morning, Paul.
Morning, Patricia. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone, and indeed thank you for your time this afternoon as well. So following a very busy autumn and Christmas campaign period, I'm delighted to have the opportunity this afternoon to look ahead to Tourism Northern Ireland's Spring 2024 marketing campaign. And the campaign will target consumers in both Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, encouraging visitors to plan and book a short break in Northern Ireland this spring and summer. Barry, if you would move on to the next slide for me, please. So before we get into the detail of it all, I'm going to present a very brief overview of the latest research and market insights that we're seeing, and then move on to a quick reminder of our segmentation strategy. We'll then talk about the specifics of the campaign and obviously, and most importantly, some of the opportunities for you, the industry, to get involved with the campaign. And as Patricia referenced, we'll have a little bit of time at the end for questions and answers, and we can get into the details of it all a little bit. So you can move on, Barry, please. So from a market insights perspective, my research and insights colleagues are reporting that, not surprisingly, value for money and cost of living are front of mind for many consumers as we head into 2024. Now, from a positive perspective, consumers in both markets are continuing to rate Northern Ireland as a better value for money destination than both the Republic of Ireland and the GB market. However, we should say that competition from abroad is growing all the time in that respect. Now, the latest research that was done, the majority of visitors from both markets reported that their trip to Northern Ireland matched or exceeded their expectations, with the range of places to eat and drink and the warmth of the welcome that they experienced in Northern Ireland being particularly highly rated. Intentions to take a short break in Northern Ireland during the first quarter of 2024 remain broadly stable for visitors from the Republic of Ireland, which is very good news. Short break intentions for the domestic market have softened slightly. And obviously, cost of living continues to affect a majority of consumers in both markets. The team are reporting that there are some indications of potential slowdown in domestic and Republic of Ireland leisure spend, with over half of the respondents intending to spend less eating out, going to pubs, visiting paid attractions, and going to events. We'll talk about, I suppose, what all of that means from the perspective of our campaign and how we're trying to address some of that research head on. But at a really high level, I suppose we want to dial up our value for money messaging at every opportunity We want to emphasize cost and the quality of our accommodation and our visitor attractions and experiences. If you could move on for me, Barry, please. And slide on again, please. So it's worth taking a moment or two, I think, just to remind everyone about the segments that we're targeting in both Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. I won't labour this, but I think it gives a really good context for who we are trying to reach in both of those markets, which then obviously informs our marketing strategy in terms of how we go and identify those segments and reach them. We could talk about segmentation all day, to be honest, but what I would say is, if you would like more information, if you would like a deeper dive into this, do visit tourismni.com and download the Northern Ireland domestic tourism strategy and also the Republic of Ireland market strategy, which will really give you quite a deep grounding in all of this. But at a very high level, active maximisers in the Republic of Ireland market, they're our biggest segment in that market. They make up 33% of the market. They are our largest segment by volume, and they're our primary focus in the Republic of Ireland for this particular burst of activity over the next couple of months. They're the youngest segment, but a significant proportion of them will also have young children. The majority are sort of aged in that 25 to 34 and 35 to 44 bracket. These guys love a packed itinerary. They're looking for a really great destination and they'll plan around that. They want energetic experiences. They want unpredictability. They're seeking nightlife and buzz, but also a bit of romance as well. They're very active on social media, these guys, and they love to share those epic experiences that they find across their own channels. So they're going to be a big focus for us now over the next couple of months, and good to just have a bit of a refresher on who they are. If you would jump on, Barry, to slide 7 for me then. Open-Minded Explorers, they're 15% of the Republic of Ireland market. They're our second largest segment, and they have medium to high intentions to visit Northern Ireland in the short term. They're also a slightly older segment, average age 45 to 54. They're more likely to be female, ABC1. They've older children, these guys. They're interested in the natural environment. They're interested in scenic attractions. They're motivated by culture. They're seeking really unique experiences. Probably goes without saying, but good food, really important for this segment. And they also want high quality accommodation. So those are important points to think about when you're communicating with that segment. Probably applicable to most, but value for money also really, really important for open-minded explorers. If we move on, Barry, next up is Indulgent Relaxers, and they're 11% of the Republic of Ireland market. They're aged in and around sort of 35 to 54. They're relatively high spending, and they've high intention to visit in the short term. They're much more likely to be female, and they have children at home, but they're the segment that are most likely to take a romantic break as their next break. They're motivated by the opportunity to spend time with family and friends. They love large, comfortable hotels. They love to indulge themselves when they're on a short break as well. Barry, if you could move on for me, please. We'll touch lightly on the domestic market as well, because we have a relatively large focus on it as part of the spring campaign as well. And obviously, as part of that, aspiring families are the biggest segment in that domestic market. They make up just around a third of the market. and they're twice as big as the other segments. They have a really strong family focus, this segment. Activities are really important, and that's activities to suit children specifically, as well as the whole family. From an age profile point of view, probably 35 to 44, they have younger children under 16 in most cases. This segment, they love to plan. They do a lot of research. They love itineraries. They love to have it all worked out in advance. They're very price sensitive, and they're seeking really good value for money at every turn. They probably consider themselves to be bargain hunters, but they're not afraid to pay for quality if they think that something is worth that little bit extra. If you could move on for me, Barry, please. We'll talk about natural quality seekers. And these guys are a little bit older. Their average age is probably 55 plus. They make up 15% of that domestic market. Short breaks are a very, very important part of their lives. Quality of accommodation is one of the biggest considerations and criteria for this segment. They're big planners as well. They love to have itineraries worked through in advance. They like to get out and about. They're nature lovers. They enjoy the outdoors, but their preference is probably for gentler activities rather than anything that is going to require too much exertion. And interestingly and increasingly, sustainability is also an important criteria for this segment. So good to keep that in mind as we're working through all of this. And Barry, finally then, within the domestic market, we've got our social Instagrammers. And these guys are the youngest segment. They're predominantly in that sort of 18 to 24, 25 to 34 bracket. They're the least likely to have children. They make up about 15% of the domestic market, and short breaks are a really, really important part of life for these guys. They want to broaden their minds. They're buzz seekers. They love nightlife. They love great pubs. Interestingly, they're more likely than any of the other segments in the domestic market to find their accommodation on Airbnb. But getting a good deal and engaging in activities for this segment is much more important to them than finding great accommodation. And obviously with these younger segments, it nearly goes without saying, but connectivity is very, very important. These guys are digital natives. They want to share content of all of these experiences that they're having across their own channels. And that's something that we're trying to tap into in terms of how we go around, go about engaging with this segment. If you slide on there, Barry, for me, please. So getting into the sequencing of the campaign a little bit and starting to pull it into focus, you can see that our campaign will begin to roll out from Monday, 22nd of January, with active maximisers in the Republic of Ireland and aspiring families in the Northern Ireland market, both going live from that date. That'll be followed then by Indulgent Relaxers in the Republic of Ireland and natural quality seekers in the domestic market, with Open-Minded Explorers as well. And then last, but by no means least, the social Instagrammer activity will be live from mid-February, and we're continuing to work on an exciting UGC platform to target that segment initially. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through. So Barry, if you could slide on for me, please, there. So yeah, just I suppose to talk a little bit more about that. The paid search activity has been live in both markets since Boxing Day, and that's because we identified that that period between Christmas and New Year sees a real spike in the volume of search traffic for people planning short breaks for the year ahead. So it was very important that we put ourselves out in front of those people who were already actively planning from Christmas. So that activity's been live now since Boxing Day and is performing well, and we're seeing quite a strong volume of searches coming through. The rest of it, as I said, will begin to go live from the 22nd, and that's where we begin to see TV, the video on demand, the broadcast elements of the campaign starting to kick in. We've radio, we have a huge amount of social and digital activity ready to go, and all of that obviously supported very, very importantly by PR and influencer marketing activity, which is also going live. And I suppose in broad terms, really, you know, we are showcasing a broad range of attractions, experiences and events, as well as ideas on where to stay. And we really are still wanting to kind of build that knowledge, particularly in the Republic of Ireland, but also give visitors really clear and compelling reasons to book now, and you know, not hold off really on that. Barry, if you slide on for me there. So, you know, with I suppose the specific media planning element of the campaign within the Republic of Ireland, we have a significant investment in TV, and we're beginning to see that go live now within the next couple of weeks. And we're working in partnership with RTE1, RTE2, Virgin Media, Sky and Channel 4 within a TV context. From a VOD perspective, RTE player, Virgin Media player, Sky, all four, very significant investment, quite a high number of impressions between the broadcast VOD and then also obviously the TVRs as well. We have a heavyweight radio campaign which will run across Today FM and Spitting and RTE Radio. We're going to reach 74% of our market through that activity. We have a huge press and press campaign which includes partnerships across print and digital titles in the Republic of Ireland markets. Out of home, significant investment again, and then obviously as we've talked about from a digital perspective, social media, paid and organic. We have a big investment in Google Display Network and programmatic advertising, which will begin to roll out within the next couple of weeks. And then obviously from an online video perspective, we have a lot of YouTube activity that we're working through at the moment with various formats. You slide on there, Barry, for me, please. From a Northern Ireland perspective, similarly heavyweight activity over the period 22nd of January through until the end of March. 1,000 TVRs across UTV, Channel 4, Sky AdSmart. Similarly big investment in broadcaster video on demand as well. We're working with Sky and ITVX and all four on that. True FM, U105, Q Radio, giving us a very, very strong radio presence. And then again, a relatively large press activity, which includes, I suppose, traditional ad spots plus advertorial, and some native content pieces beginning to come through there as well. And then again, within the domestic market, obviously a relatively big investment from a social and a digital point of view as well. If you could slide on then for me, Barry. And I think what we're going to see here is just a little preview of our Active Maximizer creative, which will be going live from the 22nd, and this is going to run across the TV and broadcast, VOD, and digital channels that we've just outlined.
Book your next giant adventure at discovernorthernireland.com.
Thanks, Barry. The Giant Adventure platform obviously is a platform that we developed 18 months or 2 years ago, and we've continued to invest in that and continued to refresh it and bring different experiences to the fore as we move forward with it. So it's a platform that has resonated very well in both markets, and we're certainly looking forward to rolling it out now again in the spring period. Barry, if you could slide on for me there. So as part of our campaign, I suppose at different points over the course of our campaign period, we will focus in on specific destinations and particular regions on some of our channels. And one of the very important reasons for taking this approach is that it allows industry partners to, I suppose, have a sense in advance of which destinations and regions we will be focusing on at what time. So if you are planning your own activity to sit alongside the campaign, obviously you can then align your activity with ours, and by doing that in partnership, then we will maximise ultimately Northern Ireland's share of voice in both markets. So within that destination rotation, Causeway Coastal route, we will kick off with at the end of January, then we're into Fermanagh and Tyrone, then Derry, Londonderry, Mournes and Strangford, Armagh, Down, and then we'll finish with a focus on Belfast at the beginning of March. If you could slide on for me, Barry, please. And obviously underpinning all of this, we have produced again a toolkit to support the delivery of the campaign. And the toolkit includes a lot of practical information, advice, and content that will help you get involved with the campaign. You'll find a bit more detail about the marketing plans than I've covered now. And importantly, you can access a suite of downloadable photography, video, and social media assets that you can then use across your own channels to amplify the wider campaign. And if you visit our website, tourismni.com, and I think Patricia will drop the URL into the chat for us, you can find the link where that toolkit is housed on the website, and obviously you can download it. The supporting content assets are available from our content pool, and you'll find the link to those assets within the toolkit, and you can go and download those We were working towards actually next Friday to have that live ahead of the campaign, but the team advised me this morning that those assets are there now actually, so you can certainly go ahead over the weekend and begin to download those and have them ready to go for the campaign going live on the 22nd. If you can move on, Barry. And obviously, as part of the campaign, the Discover Northern Ireland website really is a trusted source of inspiration and information and support to visitors. What I say to people is, obviously, when we are in campaign mode specifically, a lot of effort and energy and eyeballs will be on the Discover Northern Ireland website, but it's also there year round, and it's available there to support you. So if you are a certified accommodation provider, if you're a visitor attraction or an experience, a listing on the Discover Northern Ireland website is a great way to showcase your business to thousands of people who access that site each day. And if you have an existing listing that you want to update, or you want to create a business listing for the first time, if you visit tourismni.com, you'll find a lot of helpful information to help you do that and get that listing live ahead of the campaign going live on the 22nd. We work in partnership with TXGB, and TXGB is a B2B platform that can help you become bookable online for the first time, aren't currently bookable, or it can help you access different online routes to market that you might not currently be using. Some of those may be OTAs like Airbnb and Booking.com, but in a very local context, you can also use TXGB to make your business listing on the Discover Northern Ireland website bookable. You'll find lots of information in the toolkit about TXGB, and there's a contact included within that if you want to follow up and have further conversation around that. If you could move on, Barry, please. And again, so top 5 things to do now in readiness for the campaign going live during the spring period. So as we just talked about, create or update your business listing on the Discover Northern Ireland website. There's a lot of information in the toolkit about how you can optimize those product listings and how you can make them as impactful as possible with respect to copy and imagery and content that you can add to those listings. You can choose to register with TXGB to make those listings bookable. Tourism Northern Ireland don't charge any sales commission on bookings through the Discover Northern Ireland website. You will pay a 2.5% booking fee to TXGB, but you won't obviously pay any commission then to Tourism NI on top of that. And we're very happy to have a conversation with anyone who would like a bit more information about that. Point 3, download the assets that are available on the content pool. Use those through your own channels. Download the Embrace a Giant Spirit brand book. You'll see in the toolkit where we've talked about really the continued importance of everybody coming together and continuing to work together under the Embrace a Giant Spirit brand. You'll find lots of information there about how you can create experiences that are aligned to the brand, and obviously we can facilitate discussions with the relevant people for Tourism NI with regards to that. If you're using this content on your own channels, tag us, use hashtag #MyGiantAdventure, and obviously we will be curating and amplifying a lot of industry content across our own channels throughout the campaign period. So tagging us or using those hashtags just lets us know you're there, and we can find that content a little bit more easily and then amplify it across our own channels. And I think finally, as a general point, obviously register on tourismni.com, subscribe to our industry newsletter. You will be able to access a huge wealth of content and information on the Tourism NI site. And obviously by registering for the newsletter, you'll hear about forthcoming events and opportunities for support that are coming up. You want to slide on there, Barry? And really that's just the last point. With respect to tni.com, there really is a wealth of content and information on there. And by registering on the site, you'll be able to access that at a time of your choosing. Just slide on, Barry. And really, I suppose, an opportunity to open it up to questions and discussion. We've also included there just not to bombard people with contact details, but there is an email address there for our campaigns team. If you have any questions or queries or follow-ups following the session today, ask them now, or if you prefer, obviously drop an email through to the team and we'll pick that up and come back to you next week, all being well. Thanks, Patricia.
Thanks so much, Paul, and so much to take in there today. And thank you for doing lots of plugs for tourismni.com, because I'm always a little broken record on these webinars directing people to the website, but there really is so much useful information and resources on there, so thank you. We're going to be asking some of your questions to Paul shortly, and I see quite a few trickling in there, so but if you do have anything to ask and you haven't popped it in the chat yet, there's still time. Just pop it in now and we'll pick up as many as we can today, but we'll try not to keep you for too much longer. We know this is lunchtime, so as I mentioned at the start, as with all our TED webinars, we will be sharing a recording of today's session along with a PDF of Paul's slides that you've just seen and the toolkit which Paul mentioned that you can look at your leisure once you finish up here. So you can find all the resources and recordings from today's session and our previous lunch and learn sessions at tourismni.com/lunch-learn. There's no and there, just to keep you on your toes, but you'll receive a link once the video is ready to view as well in your inbox, so keep an eye out for that. Just before we get stuck into your questions, I'm going to do a couple of very quick polls just to get a feel for how you found today's session so far. Anyone who's joined us before will know the drill by now. So the first one's on your screen now. It's just how would you rate today's session in terms of overall satisfaction? So that's on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being extremely satisfied. Just give you a moment to select there. Okay, thank you. Second of all, please rate today's session in terms of content and relevance to your business. So that's with 1 being not relevant and 5 being extremely relevant and sort of really what you had anticipated or were looking for today. Thank you so much. And our third and final is just a very simple yes and no question. Do you plan to take any action within your business as a direct result of what you've heard from Paul today? Okay, thank you so much, and we're delighted to be joined by so many of you today, so thank you to everyone who's taken the time to join us here. I keep saying this morning, but it's lunchtime this afternoon. So Paul, without further ado, I think we'll get stuck into some questions. We have a few through there, so I'm going to kick off with one that we received in terms of micro businesses. So can a micro business benefit from the marketing campaign, or is it really only limited to small and medium businesses?
No, I think we want to hear from all businesses. We want to support as many businesses as we can. Now, from a campaign creative perspective, like television and broadcast, VOD, obviously there is a limit to the number of experiences that we can incorporate into that creative, but certainly we would encourage all businesses to create a listing on the Discover Northern Ireland website is a really important first step. There's a huge amount of wraparound activity that we will deliver over the next 3 months around this campaign, and that'll include social media, email marketing. Our PR teams in Dublin and Belfast will be working on this as well. So, you know, what we want to do is incorporate and support as many of the industry as we can somewhere within that 3-month period. So if there's a specific ask in that regard, then obviously please do get in contact and we'll understand and work through how we can support you in that regard.
Yeah, fabulous. Our next question is just wondering if there is any golf tourism specific element to the campaign, this current campaign, Paul.
So my colleague George Diamandis, Golf Sales and Marketing Manager, is currently putting together a programme of activity that will run in parallel to this. That will include some golf marketing within the ROI market, and he is also working in close partnership with Tourism Ireland to deliver some GB activity during this Q4 period as well.
Okay, super, thank you. We have a query here in relation to the holiday park sector, just wondering if it will be included in the campaign in any way at all, or if there's anything you can share on that, Paul.
I think it's probably the same point that I made with respect to the micro businesses. We won't necessarily be pulling out that sector from creative television perspective, but again, if there are opportunities to create listings on Discover Northern Ireland and then amplify those across our social and digital and PR channels, we're very open to having that conversation and understanding how we can work in partnership on that.
Super. They're coming in thick and fast here, so you're doing great, Paul. Thank you. Someone here is wondering what's the best way to market sustainable travel experiences in particular?
So sustainability, there is a piece of work underway at the moment to develop a sustainable tourism strategy. It's not a piece of work that I'm directly involved with, but I know from speaking with colleagues that they're continuing to work on that in the background and hope to have something to share relatively soon on sustainability.
Yeah, great. We have someone here who's just wondering, is it possible to have the booking by telephone only coding the promotion if you're offering a promotion rather than through their website or online booking system? Is that something that would be acceptable, Paul?
Yes, I think generally speaking, we want to give visitors as many ways of ultimately booking as we can, but if a particular provider would prefer that those bookings come via the phone rather than online, I would encourage them in the first instance to call that out on their Discover Northern Ireland listing. And obviously if we're then amplifying that beyond Discover Northern Ireland, we would try and reflect that in our messaging as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have someone here, Paul, and maybe you can help explain sort of the remit for our marketing campaign. If someone was wondering about the Scottish and the English market, do we not target and reach out there as well? I know that that's not actually within our remit. We work with Tourism Ireland on that, but maybe you could explain a bit more about how that works if anyone's joining us today that isn't so familiar.
Yeah, absolutely. So from a marketing perspective, Tourism Northern Ireland remit is the island of Ireland, essentially Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. Tourism Ireland's remit would include GB and international markets. Colleagues from Tourism Ireland launched their marketing plans for 2024 yesterday. and I believe and I imagine those decks are probably available on Tourism Ireland's channels. And you would be able to probably get a sense of what their plans for the GB market are over the next year or so.
Okay, great. And someone is wondering here, in terms of the Republic of Ireland activity, do we focus across all of Republic of Ireland or specifically on the Dublin corridor? And we have a sort of slightly related question. Do we have any insights into where visitors from Republic of Ireland into NI are mainly originating from? I don't know if we have any specific details on that or anything you can share.
I think we could certainly follow up with our colleagues in the research and insights team just to see specifically what they have. Now, anecdotally, from a paid media perspective, we will focus a lot of our activity on that Dublin corridor area because we know that it is perhaps easier to convert than slightly further afield. Now, that's not to say that we're only focused on that area, and certainly our PR team that are based in Dublin work with regional titles all across the south of Ireland. So certainly if we're not reaching it through something like press advertising, we will be having PR conversations with those titles anyway. And then obviously from a broadcast TV perspective, we're obviously reaching as wide a market in the Republic of Ireland as we can with that activity.
Yeah, great. I think we're going to have to leave it there for now. We have a few more questions in, but they're maybe a little bit more specific to people's individual businesses. So if you have asked a question and we haven't picked it up live here today, we'll aim to come back, or Paul or one of his team come back to you as soon as we possibly can in relation to your specific question. But hopefully we've touched on the kind of broad main topics there for the moment. And I don't want to keep everybody too long, as I said, but thank you so much for all your questions today. Thank you to so many of you for joining us today, and thank you, Paul, for all your contributions as well. I'm going to take this opportunity for a shameless plug as well and remind you that we have 2 upcoming Leaner and Greener webinar sessions we're delivering along with Very Connect, which are currently open for registration. So the first one's on the 25th of January, and then another one a week later on the 1st of February, where we'll be taking a look at NI's commitment to climate change and threats to biodiversity in Northern Ireland as part of our sort of ongoing Leaner and Greener activity. So during both sessions, we're going to be exploring what steps you can take in these areas and potential benefits to your business of getting involved. So you can find full details on those at tourismni.com/TED, and to find details on all of our previous Leaner and Greener activity. So sort of touched again on that sustainability message. Paul, that I know came through in one of the questions there, but links to recordings and materials for that are at tourismni.com/Leaner Greener. So all that really remains now is to say thank you once again to Paul today. Thank you to Barry and the team in the background there for keeping everything running smoothly and helping with some of your queries in the chat. And thanks again, everyone who's joined us today. Look forward to hopefully seeing as many of you as possible joining us again in the coming months as we roll out more of our 2024 programme in the coming year. And be sure to keep visiting tourismni.com to access useful materials and sign up to our mailing list to be first to hear about what's coming up and make the most of any opportunities available. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day and a lovely weekend, everybody. Cheerio. Thank you.